Nina Dunn didn't pull any punches in the interview you just saw from the White House, calling Fox News a wing of the Republican Party and saying, let's not pretend they're a news network. Joining us now to talk about whether that kind of frontal attack makes sense, the Nobel Prize coverage, and the president as fodder for comedians, here in Washington, Anna Marie Cox, national correspondent for Air America Radio and contributing editor for Playboy magazine, and Chris Stirewalt, political editor of the Washington Examiner. Does it make political sense for Anita Dunn in the White House to be openly campaigning against Fox News?
I don't know if she was campaigning against them. I think that she was calling it how she sees it. And I think that it may not make political sense, but I appreciate the candor. I appreciate her saying pretty clearly, like, why the administration is making the choices they make on about where to go. I think that, and also she's correct. I think that the administration, when they go on Fox News, they are debating the opposition. Now, it'd be great if she also said, and when they go on other networks, they're debating, you know, the people on their side.
Yes, for example, MSNBC obviously has quite a liberal lineup. All right, now Fox does beat the drums against the Obama administration on certain stories, Acorn, for example, which was a legitimate story. But it's also got a pretty big megaphone.
Sure. And if you look at what happened with the Green Job czar Van Jones, if you looked at Yossi Sargent from the National Endowment for the Arts, now we're seeing Mr. Jennings from the Department of Education, these stories whip up. The administration had been ignoring them, and so had the New York Times and other mainstream outlets had been ignoring it, and it gave Fox and other outlets open ground to get in there and push the administration.
So aren't you underscoring the White House point of view that they view Fox as the opposition?
Well, I think in those stories, I view Fox as seeing a clear lane on a story that people were interested in that was rejected in the first vetting process. Fox got a hold of and pushed through and was successful with.
But also maybe vetted for a reason, because I just have to say the Acorn story, actually the Acorn story that they covered during the campaign was not really a story. The question of voter fraud, there were not people being signed up to vote for Obama who wound up going to vote for Obama. There's a sort of a scam going on there in terms of like registering people to get paid for registering. And then for Kate, and I'm sorry, I have to say something about this Jennings story because I think it's really offensive. They're persecuting someone because he's gay.
We don't have time to go through each controversy right now, but did Fox have the same appetite for stories that reflected poorly on the Bush administration?
Probably not, because certainly they had, if grooming media outlets works, as it has for the Obama administration, picking and favoring some outlets over others.
Wait a second. The president has gone on just about everything this side of Cooking with Rachel Ray. Fox is the exception here.
Right. No, that's what I mean, for the Bush administration.
Oh.
So if it's worked for the Obama administration, it no doubt worked. If it's worked for the Bush administration, it's no doubt working for the Obama administration. But I think the problem is that when the Bush administration tried to exclude the New York Times or belittle the New York Times, it made the administration seem small. It was unworthy. And I think that for the Obama administration, it is equally small and unworthy, if not more so, to exclude 3 million viewers of the Chris Wallace Sunday Morning Show, or to try and tune out half of the dial.
Well, O'Reilly's the guy with 3 million viewers, but let's briefly touch on this Nobel Peace Prize flap, whether Obama deserved it or not. And he says he didn't. How does it look for conservative pundits, some of them at least, to be slamming the award?
I think it makes them look small, to use the language of my friend here. I think that the correct course of action was taken by quite a few people, including McCain and Tim Pawlenty, who said, you know, it's a great thing for our country to have our president recognized this way. I mean, you can then say, which I think McCain had the right line on this, which is that I hope he lives up to it. That's sort of I think the politic way of saying that he may not deserve it, but let's hope he someday does deserve it.
And as in the case of Chicago losing the Olympics, which also prompted some cheering from conservative commentators, does it not look like they're rooting against America?
Well, I think with the Olympics, that's a significant issue. The Olympics, because it would have been a feather in the cap for the United States and a reflection of our position. I think that the Nobel Prize Committee sort of jumped the shark a while ago. Once you've given Al Gore, Jimmy Carter, Yasser Arafat awards. Right, exactly. People would say it started with Kissinger, but at least in those cases it was aspirational. A treaty had been signed, something had been done.
So you criticize the Nobel Prize Committee, that is fine.
Sure.
But
I just don't think it's as serious. I don't think it's as serious of an issue. I think the Nobel Peace Prize, at least,
it's dominated the news in the last 48 hours. Or